I do unscripted podcasts. But fuck me, this was something else, man. We had to stop the podcast probably 3 or 4 times, and the reason was it just was free flow. I think a story of rags to riches of people who live by the passion, uh, understand their community, have done so much for the community where they live in, uh, well educated people, and at the same time have the ability to take the right kind of risk, take decisions which are very well balanced. This is the kind of episode a person who doesn't have to be necessarily from the fitness industry should listen into, who wants to, and even forget entrepreneurship. I know this podcast is about entrepreneurship and fitness, but honestly, there are so many life lessons you can learn from these twins. My god, man, I could have gone. I mean, we booked the studio for a couple of hours, but we already fucking 1 hour overtime. But I think this is one episode which anybody who's got a fucking child should get them to listen to this and understand what it takes to be successful. And it's not difficult. It's about taking some right decisions. Not all of them will be right in the long run, but at the time sound right. So probably one of my favorite episodes ever. J, K, thanks for doing this, guys. This is like JK rolling. Are we rolling? Yeah.
Amazing. More than welcome to be here. It's good. Good.
Yeah,
Enjoy it.
exciting. Almost all the people we know who are successful business owners, but in the gym industry, successful gym owners, they are gym people.
Yeah,
You'll find that a lot. And I think that's the same across a lot of industries, which are, if you look at people who perhaps have a business or anything really, they don't, that's not always their passion. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think if you have a business and it is your passion, so for example, let's say with MYG, okay, and what you're doing, because you are, one, you were an operator, but two, you are clearly into the gym, that's important because you know what the customer wants because you are your customer.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you are a business person.
Absolutely.
Right. So you're not. You're doing this out of, I guess, it is still a passion of yours.
Yeah.
But I think when we talk about gyms, a lot of people with gyms, they open a gym because they think that this would be amazing because I love this, and that's great because if you want just your one own gym and you want to run it and be there and be maybe sometimes a busy fool, you'll have it the way you want it and what you think is right. Those people don't always make the most amount of money and they're not always the most successful gyms. They're nice gyms, and I think from a member's perspective, they are a small community.
Yeah.
But if you talk about scaling, some of the people we know who scale, say, maybe from like 3-4 gyms where they were profitable, and then they scale to, say, 12, 15, 20 gyms, they actually start making less money. And the reason being is because when they had 1 or 2 gyms, they ran it their way, how they want to. But what they aren't is they aren't really business people. So what they're doing is they're trying to scale, like you said, they're trying to scale their own time, and they're trying to scale how they ran one gym versus look at, like you said, franchise model. Okay, they're giving you systems. That's all they've built is systems. So most of the time, they're coming to you and say, we're not promising you money, but what we are promising you is that you can invest. We will give you everything. We'll give you branding, we'll give you, procedures and even staffing models and everything. And those people make more money.
Because they're business people. They're going to sit and go, I want to make money. You've given me everything I need to know about a gym.
Yeah.
I will just try and squeeze profit margins. Ironically, you end up with soulless gyms that have no character but they're a business. They are a business. You go in there to the owner wants to make money. The client wants somewhere to just go and train. There's not necessarily a community. I'm not saying there's not always a community, but most of the time we know the type of brands we're talking about. But one thing I will say as well is I know a lot of independents where the guys opened a gym because they wanted to own a gym. They love the gym. They want to own a gym. That one or two things happen. They open a gym that's actually incredible and great. But if they left, the gym would just decline. People are there for that person. And that's not really conducive for business.
It's not scalable at all.
You might as well be a personal trainer because the people are there for you. If you have zero time, in fact, I know gym owners with very successful one gym, but they have zero time. They have less time than someone who has 4 gyms because ultimately they have to be there for those 12 hours a day because people notice. And that's one of the, I don't want to say it's a mistake. I feel like our first gym we opened, us being there made it. we are business people first. We love the gym as well. Very similar to yourself.
Yeah.
Like we're logical thinkers, but we make...
We all three are engineers, by the way.
Yeah,
all of us.
Engineers. And so
What the fuck are we doing with our lives, man?
I don't know.
I wouldn't change it for the world though, because like I think, and you've probably found the same. Is that I remember a lot of our family, you know, you say elders, when we went down a different path to like our degrees or our expertise, or what would be considered, I mean, what do we consider engineers? We consider them, you know, almost on the level of doctors, professionals, and you know, you spend a long time accruing skills. But here's the thing, like we use those skills for business.
Yeah.
And so we actually end up being more successful in almost everything that we do.
Oh, 100%. And I'll tell you, when I was leaving my job, so, I mean, by qualification, computer science, MBA in management, a PhD in management, and running gyms. And when I left my job, I was working for Bank of America. When I quit my job and told my dad, they were fucking shitting bricks. So you're fucking mad. You're opening a gym.
Yeah.
Said, I mean, I love fitness and I've worked in a bank. I know how fucking money moves. I know how to, you know, I know the math. It's an underpenetrated market and we'll do very well. My dad was like, you fucking mad. He didn't speak to me for fucking 3 months.
I feel like that comes from early years, a lack of trust. Like I truly believe that we could turn to anyone in our family now and say we're going to do something. I could turn and say, I'm going to sell spades for a living. And I think they would go, fair play, you'll make it work.
Yeah.
But when you're younger or early, what it's a lack of trust in our logical thinking process, in the fact that when we first had these, I wouldn't say they were even discussions, but it's like almost, it starts off the coast. Oh, you're going to open a gym. Why? You're highly qualified. You're very intelligent. You're wasting your life. And I'm like, hang on a minute. If I didn't say I wanted to open a gym, I said I'm going to start my own business, you'd go, wow, that sounds like a good idea. I don't want to work for someone. I want to open a business that's infinitely scalable, or it doesn't even have to be infinitely scalable, but I will work for myself and hopefully earn more money. I feel like they would turn and go, oh, good idea. But you put you associate it with a gym. And I think it's because, especially when we would have started our gyms, there was 2 types of gyms, right? There was like David Lloyd and leisure centres that were worth millions. And then there was your backstreet independent owned gym. And independent owned gyms a long time ago were like your warehouse gyms where the owner was there like 17 hours a day, probably slept in a room upstairs.
Yeah, I've done
and
that.
there
I've
wasn't,
done that. Fucking, we all have done that. You're still in a fucking vest.
Yeah, nothing changed.
This is the vest I owned when I first opened the gym. It's obviously not gone very well. But I remember nights us sleeping on the studio floor because we're building this gym and we've got a deadline. But that's not for lack of, like I had a house. I chose to sleep on the studio floor because we had to open at midday the following day and things weren't done. And I just needed 2 hours sleep so I could carry on. That's being a business person. That's not, that was by choice.
Yeah.
And I bet you've had many sleepless nights, business related.
100%.
But you're not, I think, anything in logical thinking, the process you take now, it's like, I don't think the business really matters. It's the systems in place. And that's why there are so many people out there that once they become successful, I don't want to say millionaires because that's, you can be a millionaire for many reasons. But if you're successful, you ask those people, what if you had to start from the bottom? And they'll turn and go, I do it again and again and again and again. Because they just replicate a system.
It's just, I think getting your first success in business is the best learning curve you can have in your life, because that teaches you first and the most important value, self-belief, right? If you've done it before from a scratch with nothing with you, you will say, man, I can fucking do anything. Like you guys have done. I mean, if I go back and say, tell me why, I mean, what's revolution fitness? What was the revolution you were doing? Why did you fucking start it in the first place?
Why did we start?
Yeah, why did you start?
I mean, this is the thing. This is the crazy thing. The reason for starting it was not even a reason, because there was logical thinking behind it, but
opportunity. The opportunity arose at the time. And don't get me wrong. So we had, when we were at university, we always used to say it'd be nice to work for ourselves. We were problem solvers. A lot of and you probably found this in like say in the educational side of engineering, where like a lot of our colleagues were very good engineers, but probably a little bit socially inept, and they probably preferred to be on a computer, sat in a corner, just purely doing the problem solving. Right. But it kind of just, that's all it is. And maybe a lot of them didn't aspire for much more than just to be the best engineer. I found that we wanted to be the best at everything that was thrown at us if it was complicated and difficult. And we loved the gym. So the gym was something that we had, it's a challenging prospect. One, learning about how to get fit and how to get in shape, but also the act of actually doing it. Like, that's the problem. But we used to joke and say, it'd be cool to open a gym. But at the time, being the best engineer, working for the best companies, that seemed like a bigger challenge. We actually left our degree with great opportunities in place. And then we were offered a gym, in short.
So let's go into detail.
So our local gym that we were training at, and it was the only gym in the area that you could, because back in the day it was quite common to have 12-month contracts, joining fees, months up front, cancellation periods. So you're 3-4 months in before you've even, and we were students. We'd left university. We potentially had contracts for Airbus and a grad scheme starting for Jaguar Land Rover, traveling around the country, and you have no money as a student. So we'd signed up to this gym, and we were training there just, paying monthly, because the only gym in the local area could do that. And we loved it there, but we knew that from a business perspective, it wasn't a good business. It suited us, but it didn't suit. It was quiet. We loved it. It was quiet. And then the owner came to us one day and said, "Oh, lads, I just want to let you know, I'm going to be selling the gym. I haven't got enough members, not making any money. I'm going to have to sell the building." He also was his own landlord. He owned the property. And so we were there like as opportunists, as potential new business people and engineers. It's like, this equipment's worth quite a lot of money. We'd saved up quite a lot of our student loans. So, because we were tight asses, I guess, maybe. Because when we were at university, so back then, everyone else was going out and like at university, spending their student loan money. We were working and saving our loan money as well. And so we came out with a little bit of money, not a lot. And so we ended up saying to him, like, what if we bought the equipment from you? Because he was just liquidating. He just wanted it all gone.
The property was his.
The property was his. He needed the equipment out at the time because they were potentially going to foreclose on the property, or he needed to get a new tenant in and pay rent or whatever that was to cover what he owed. And so we said, can we buy the equipment? But we wanted to buy it boatload cheap. We knew it was going into liquidation before it went to auction. Yeah. And we offered him like a really low ball offer, knowing that if we just had the equipment for a year and we just sold piece by piece on eBay. So once again, that's the entrepreneurship that we had that was new to us.
We were students.
We were students, but we were there going, right, we could buy this. We could double our money on the equipment, so we could then pay back the loans and still have some money spare. Okay. Yeah. So that was the opportunity at the time. And then it transpired that as we were talking to him, I did the numbers with Jay and I said, look, right, if we choose to take on a grad scheme, the grad schemes now from when we had finished our degrees weren't starting for 12 months. So we had 12 months of like dead time, or we can start freelancing as engineers. We've been offered a freelance opportunity, but as a freelancer, you also have spare time. So either way, we were like, look, there's this opportunity here, because he was talking about needing a tenant for the property, because if he had a signed tenant, the bank would turn and go, well, you've got an income now covering the mortgage. His business was losing him money. But if we were paying the rent, he had guaranteed income, and the mortgage company could see someone's making regular payments. So we just were like, shall we can make this
from a low ball offer.
We were experienced in the gym. We liked, this was a challenge. Yeah. The opportunity of being engineers still existed. Yeah. One, on the side, if we needed it for the extra capital for the money. Yeah. But two, the other grad scheme opportunity we had started in a year, so it gave us 12 months. And we also like pushing ourselves. So you're like, right, we've got 12 months to kill it. It doesn't matter if it fails, because, as you said earlier about how, once you've succeeded in business, you know what you're capable of.
Correct.
But I also will say that we have failed even after we've succeeded, which I think is very important. Your first failure as a business person is the biggest lesson. Maybe it knocks your confidence a little bit.
You learn more from failure than from success.
I had a conversation.
Actually, you don't learn from success, because if you're lucky, you don't know you're lucky.
I had this exact conversation yesterday. I said that you could fail 18 times in a row and succeed on the 19th, and you are far more experienced business person than someone that succeeded the first time, because that first time person succeeded and had no feedback. No feedback on when something goes wrong. They go to set up their next business and they're already successful, and they're going to throw a load of money on something, and something's going to hit them and go wrong, and they're going to go, what do I do now? Like, I know I'd rather fail loads of times.
Which is exactly what you said earlier as an engineer. That's what we want failures. We want to see the failures because if you're testing, if you're designing and testing a product and it doesn't fail, you go, when's the failure coming? Well, I don't know. I'm in the dark. Yes, it's scary.
Yeah,
it's scary. It's like the more times it fails, the more time you've gone, okay, we re-engineered that, we redesigned it. That will never happen again because we predicted it, or we know that it's potentially a failure point.
I think I always looked at failure as, like, while people think failure as a failure, I always see it, it's the cost of learning a lesson.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as failure if you give up. So, people say that businesses fail because businesses fail. Most businesses fail because entrepreneurs give up.
Yeah.
Your success may come after 1 month, 1 year, 10 years, 15 years. But if you give up, then you say you failed as a
forever.
business. There's no forever,
I don't think I can think of anyone that's just given their 100% effort to something for a significant amount of time and not walked out at the end of it and had something very significant. It might not be £1 million or £10 million, but I can tell you
doesn't need to be.
No. Some of these people will tell you that they've done something for 5 years straight, and they might have walked out of it with not necessarily even a business or a load of money, but they'll turn and go, that was the best 5 years of my life because I learned how to do the next thing and the next thing. And I do find it quite ironic that we spend most of our childhood at school, then you go to high school and you're learning, and then you'll go to university, and now everyone's got to go to college, and they'll probably mandate that people got to go to university. And I think you'll tell somebody to go and open a business and try and do that. And like, how much does university cost? A lot of money nowadays, a lot of money. And people will just I call them kids, they're not kids, but young adults will go and spend a load of money going to university with no guarantee of a job at the end of it. And you tell someone to go and try and open a business and spend 12 months and maybe a small loan, and they'll be like, oh, that's scary.
Yeah.
I'm like, you've spent 21 years of your life in education with no income and spending money. And I just don't think that... I'd actually say the UK is probably the worst for this because we offer such a solid education that in some respects
for free as far as
it is.
So that's a low risk. That's a low risk option for most people to just
guys in India. It's just so if my dad was to fund my post graduation in today's time, and I was to do that, he will have to fucking mortgage his house. The government is giving you sweet fuck all.
Yeah.
So people have this opportunity here I sometimes feel when everything is given to you on a platter, you don't fucking value it at all. I see people moaning in the UK all the time. I don't want to sound like a fucking dickhead here, but honest to God, they have no fucking idea what the developing world is like. You're fucking joking. You get free education. Yep. You get a post-graduation from a loan from the government that you can pay if you fucking start earning.
And if you don't start, no, because you never pay it back. You never have to pay it back. And that's where also I think that some people in the UK, it maybe sets them up poorly for money management. And then we talk about business as well, because you can go get a loan for your business, but you do have to pay it back, but you have to try hard. And look, that's the risk we take. And I think that sometimes it's like, if you want to throw someone in the deep end, and then they'll really know what they're capable of, which makes it hard. And also that scares people. And it's funny you say, because like, I don't want to say that I would like to even consider what it's like in like a third world country. But we actually, the reason we are the way we are is because we grew up in a very poor family. Single mum, 5 kids, very, very, very low income. And
there's like 6 of us in a 3-bed council house.
Yeah.
We've had the best childhood ever.
Yeah.
Like our mum's incredible. But it was still like, oh, you get new shoes if you got your toes poking out of the end of it. That was it. Yeah. And it was like, it's strange though, because I knew that we didn't get things like, we didn't have like games consoles, and I'm not saying that's not like it, compared to a third world country, that's like, oh, diddums, but compared to most of the kids we went to school with, we had really absolutely nothing. But our mum made sure that our experiences were like, we were fortunate if we lived in a council house, but we had a council house that was in the countryside, so we're in this tiny little bungalow that had no central heating, but like we didn't know any different. It was great. We had like a massive garden. All we did is build tree houses, and I think that's where we learned our problem solving.
I think sometimes ignorance is bliss. You don't know
didn't know any different. Like,
that's the way the world is.
Our mates were like, oh, I got a PlayStation. I'd be like, oh, I'm outside building a treehouse and digging an underground base. That's what we did every weekend. Our mum was there and made sure that we were like going and climbing trees and doing so. All the kids wanted to come to our house when we were younger, yet they all had really rich families with everything, brand new clothes, brand new trainers, yet everyone was like coming to ours to mess around in the countryside. So we had this like really
but they were
authentic.
but they were comfy, like as in how many times did we enjoyed our life, but we also saw the struggle that our mum went through, you know, put on a brave face, you know, 5 kids making ends meet is hard. And so like I remember we always used to say, like, one day we're going to be the ones, you know, when they say, like, and this is the truth, it like almost wows me up every time, you know, when they say there's always that one person in generations
who will change it.
And like, you know, not to sound almost like, because it could sound egotistical, but that's where we used
We
to say
knew from
this.
a young age.
We didn't know, I don't think you ever know, but we knew that was the only real challenge, was can we be these, maybe we'll fail. Maybe we won't succeed, but like that we did well in education.
Yeah, and
for
I think
that
you
reason.
had resilience as well. I think what you've done. I mean, you made your fair share of mistakes, and all of us do that, and it costs us money, but we also learn from it. And as we learn it, we move on. We kind of become wiser in the. And it's only when you lose money. You know, a lot of people tell me I'll do business, but I'm willing to get into business as long as my living costs are covered, bro. You want a fucking job. You know, that's not business.
But,
you know?
but also, I think that it's like, you know, we joke about, you know, if you have to start again, and like people almost make out like that's a sacrifice. And it's funny because, you know, we do well now financially, like yourself, okay? But here's the thing, like I don't need the materialistic things I have because I grew up without them. Yeah. So I know that life is okay. Yeah. We had a good childhood with no money. So here's the thing. So like I can go back to that. And the reason, if you look at these people who probably succeed even after they fail over and over and over again, if you look, they are actually they, as the saying goes, I will do what is it? I will do what no one else will, so one day you can do what no one else can. Yeah. Okay, that's a great saying. Yeah. That is that you are willing to either go above and beyond or even sacrifice more than anyone else, because then one day you can live like they can't. So like I say to my kids and to other people they ask, I think it's important, and this also comes back to, you know, we go to a lot of car events and people always ask you, because it's like the Andrew Tate thing, or what, you know, what do you do to make your money, or all those things. And I say to people that you should actually have low expectations, high aspirations. They're two different things. Because if you always have high expectations, you won't deal well with failure. But if you have high aspirations but low expectations, you will keep trying and trying. Because you're like, I'm not expecting to pass first time, but I'm aspiring to. So you will just keep going because you aren't fazed by failure. I think that's the problem with the schooling system. If we go back to what we were talking about, is that with the schooling system, it's just like, you did bad. Yeah, it's so hardwired in us that you have to pass. You have to do this. I don't think people experiment enough. Yeah, but you have to learn. Ultimately, you have to learn. It doesn't matter if it takes you 5 times longer than someone else. Yeah, but it's the point is it doesn't matter that you took that test and you got an A. If you took the test and you got a D, then you go back and go, how can I get an A? The problem in school is they go, oh, you got a D, move on to the next topic, you failed at that, or not failed, but you didn't pull it. Analogy king today, is if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, you know, that's it. That's all I need to say. Yeah. And that's also the problem with like potentially the schooling system. I don't get me wrong. Once again, I think you should aspire to be the best you can be, and that's important. And the word schooling comes from, what's the history of it? Basically, you want people to fucking fall in line and do what they were supposed to do. That's where schooling came in from. Yeah. The Americans gave it to the world, saying that, dude, this is what you need to do. You want people to follow and toe the line. You want labor force. You want people to understand what rules are, understand. Man, please tell me, what the fuck does schooling teach to you? Honestly, you go back and say, let's go to our first standard till now. What is it you learned at school that you couldn't have learned? Honest to God, I mean, there's you look at people who've done so well in life. None of them were fucking toppers, unless you're going to pure sciences. Yeah. So if you're going to be a scientist, if you're a rocket scientist, I understand that. Yeah. But most of us are not in the business of fucking rocket science, right? It's basic things. I think getting people's attitude right is more important than anything else. Most skills can be learned. There's no fucking
There's again, like I said, there's no rocket science in learning a simple skill. So if you have to be a gym instructor, I mean, I'm not saying you need to be a fucking idiot, but anybody can be a gym instructor if you have basic intelligence in place. And by the way, most people don't know, IQ is fucking innate. You're born with it. You can't fucking become more intelligent, can you? So schooling is not going to do anything for you in terms of intelligence. Yes, it's going to teach you. But today, I think universities today are the most fucking redundant organizations, institutions in the world. Absolutely redundant. You can learn all that shit. Like people say,
you don't use any of it.
My first venture was a business school, and I had students who would walk up to me, parents would walk up and say, "How many books do you have in the library?" I said, "How many books has your fucking son read? How many has he read? How many do you have in his last library?" These fuckers are not reading anything.
No.
Me having 30,000, I have 30,000 books in my library. I've got, say, 50 journals. That is not going to make him read it.
It's redundant.
Yeah, it is. Today you can get all of this online. So I think this nature of being inquisitive, trying to learn new things, fail at things, putting effort behind things, and assuming that, when you start with something, you will never get it right the first time. I don't know how people have this expectation. I will do my first business and I'll be successful. Are you fucking mad?
Yeah.
Is it possible to?
Do you know what you can? That can be a possibility.
No, but
that's but it's different. One, there's a level of luck there, and the problem is, are you actually learning? But actually, what people forget is, like, for example, my most recent business, we have failed. Talk more about micro tasks. I was saying earlier, is like this business is not failing. It's doing very well at the moment.
Yeah.
But actually, each step of the way, almost every single one, we have failed in the initial, perhaps decision or what the expectation was or anything else, and we've had to make changes. Like we're learning. We're learning as we go.
So people in today's world, people call that failure. They want this to be absolutely okay. If I do A, I will get to point B. If I do C, I'll go to point this. People think it's a very simple equation. You will have to have micro failures, like you said, in everything you do. You don't get it right the first time. I'm sure, if I go back, let's go back to your first business, right? Which was you opened a gym, right? By accident, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And you opened the gym by accident.
Yeah,
Sorry?
Oh yeah, he said we'll finish that story in a minute.
Yeah. So let's go back. So you went in, you saw this guy who wanted to sell a gym. He's the landlord. He's got kit. You thought I could sell kit on eBay. That's what you should think logically. What happened next?
So like I was saying, at this point we were. It's just opportunities, right? So this was at the time pure opportunity to make some money back to pay back our student loans. Okay, we also were into the gym, so there was like a small part of us. I remember saying that, like, thing is,
this is cool.
Yeah, this is cool. If we own we can pay our money back. We also have some gym equipment to train on, right? So technically speaking, not only will we sell the equipment for more, but also we'll probably save on gym membership for a year. Once again, we're kind of almost like that's just the small little wins, right? That's all it was at the time. Because remember, we were going to become engineers. Yeah. We were going to be successful. So this was just an opportunity.
Who was going to join JLR, Jaguar Land Rover?
Well, we actually both had applied. We'd both got to the final stages. I had been to the final stage, and he had, like we were saying earlier, so he had the call. But so I got my call first, and I accepted the assessment day and actually went. But by the time, because they do it in stages, because I think there was like 5,000 applicants, maybe 10,000 applicants, a lot, as you can imagine.
Yeah, obviously.
So to get to the assessment stage, I think it was 100 people. So it was 10 lots of 10. Okay. So I'd already actually turned up to my assessment, which is, we talk about education, and that's a funny story there actually, because my final year dissertation was for Jaguar Land Rover, and also I graduated at the top of my class. So, but there were genuinely people there. So take in mind this top 100, that when, you sit down with these 10 people and you're competing against them, obviously. The reality is. And there were people there with perhaps lower qualifications, more experience. And then some people there, they had perhaps less experience and also less intelligence, maybe grades or whatever. But they clearly had either done well in the application stage or they had something about them, maybe other skill sets that they brought to the table. So that's an interesting thing when we talk about education. So Jay had actually, when they called, we were on the gym train at this point.
If I remember correctly, I think it was a Friday, and we were at the gym, and the owner had been badgering us for I think about 3 weeks, saying, "Buy my gym off me, buy my gym off me," and we were like, "No, I don't want to buy your gym off you. Like, we don't want to be gym owners," because we had bigger aspirations in our heads. Now I would say nowhere near, but at the time you're like, "Oh, I'm going to be an engineer." We were doing exactly what we criticised our own family later on for judging us. So we don't judge them for judging us wanting to be gym owners, because we were the same. We're like, "Well, I don't want to be a gym owner. I've just done a degree in engineering, graduated top of the class." Yeah. You know, at the time we were both going through these application processes. We'd actually been offered a job like freelancing for Airbus already. We were just sort of waiting for other offers to come in. And he's like, "Buy my gym." We were like, no. And then I think it was that Friday he'd mentioned it again, and we talked figures, and he wanted 30,000 for the gym equipment.
Which year was this?
Say again.
Which year was this? 2000?
2012. So the talks were 2012. We actually ended up taking on the gym in January 2013.
I think it was the 9th, wasn't it?
Yeah, 6th, I think. 6th of January. So it was, so.
But that conversation that we had, and we went home that day, and we were like, "Look, this is
taking in mind we were 22, just about to turn 23.
Just left you.
Right, so we're babies.
Yeah, we're babies. Yeah,
and we're still babies now if you think about it. But at the time
we had the savings, didn't we? We had the
so
savings.
Like I said before, we had the savings, and don't get me wrong, we were still entertaining it.
Yeah.
You know, Jay saying we didn't want to own a gym. Yeah. We'd done the numbers, and there was potential money to be made, but once again, we knew our potential, and I think that was important at the time. The aspirations were high. The gym maybe didn't fulfill that, but when we did the numbers and the challenge, and this is where like you're juggling between expectations, aspirations, which perhaps, you know, freelancing for Airbus, like there's good money to make that, and then opens doors and opportunities, because you're still working for someone else, but you're kind of still self-employed. So that still intrigued us. Maybe there are a lot of our colleagues at university that would have been happy to sit at a computer. We just weren't really those people.
So was this just an opportunity where you thought you'd make
money? It wasn't long term. So I
so
feel
when
like
you tip over to saying, "Okay, hold on a minute, I'm not going to fucking sell this on eBay, I'm going to run a gym." So when did you take that decision?
Well, basically we sat on that Friday, and at this point we were like, well, if we could buy it for sort of 10 grand. I mean, we'd know the prices of kit now, and that like ludicrous to buy anything, because it's not just kit, is it? It's like the mirrors, like just you couldn't even buy a load of barbells and weights nowadays for that. So we were like, if we can buy it from that, you know, he wants out, and he's not going to get any. No one else is going to buy it. We're the only ones there. We're still students. We got some student money left over from working. But if we buy it, worst case scenario, we've got 30 grand's worth of kit. Sell it on eBay. We've got a year. You can sell it one by one. And back then,
so you did have a safety net in your mind.
Yeah. So that was what made us do it. We were like, look, at the end of the day, worst case scenario, we make 20,000, which to two students that at the time were just doing a bit of labouring and working.
I also would like to point out that we did aspire to be the best of what we did, but there's also a level of challenge there. Like, so a good example would be, as of recently, Jay's bought a 3D printer and has been making parts on like kids' toys, and just becoming like skillful at other tasks. Sometimes we do things, and I'm sure you do the same. You probably like have a lot of things that you've done since you were successful and since you made a lot of money that actually aren't as financially, driven. Correct. Okay, because you like the challenge. So remember, at the time, we still were going to become engineers. We still thought that was our big, if we become whatever we're going to be, that was our path. It was written in time. But we've been studying nonstop because we just want to be the best.
Okay, so let's say if I go back, did you think at that point of time you would be where you are today doing what you're doing today?
No, the day before we actually gave the money to him for the gym kit / gym. If you'd asked me if I was going to be a gym owner, I'm not saying I wasn't going to buy that gym at that time, but I would have said, if someone said, "Are you going to be a gym owner for the rest of your life?" I'd be like, "No, I'm an engineer. I didn't just go to uni to not go down that career path." We sat that Friday night and ran some numbers, and in that we ran the numbers on everything we've ever done in business is worst case scenario. We take worst case scenario, halve it, and And if it's going to be successful, or at least it doesn't need to be successful financially necessarily, that does matter in life, but if it's going to be viable, we'll do it. We were like, imagine if for the next 12 months, we've got some job offers, we've got these things ready for next September. Imagine we get to just sort of chill at a gym all day long. I remember we used to sit behind the desk eating peanut butter and stuff, didn't we? and train. And at that time, we were also very into fitness as a hobby. You know, it was around that sort of time we got our sponsorship with Cymex Nutrition. And we were like, well, that's a lot of people then, and people make fitness their career now. People just sit on Instagram. That wasn't a thing then. So we were like, oh, this would be quite cool. We didn't have that option to go, oh, let's become Instagram famous and just train all day and video ourselves. Wasn't a thing. So the way for us to be in fitness for a year, when we just spent 3 years grafting at uni, while everyone else was out drinking, we weren't doing that. We were studying. And
you're drinking protein shakes.
And drinking protein shakes.
Good boys.
And it just sort of was like, well, these numbers, if you're taking worst case scenario and have them, we can still sit up there and make a little bit of money. We've got £30,000 worth of gym equipment we could sell if we needed to do that. And we were like, let's just bite the bullet, offer him a lot less money. So
how much did you get it for finally? How much did you buy it for? Do you remember?
It was 8,000. I think
8,000.
It might be like 8,000 and something. We might have given him a little bit extra because I felt sorry for him. But he's a nice guy. We're still friends with him now, actually.
Yeah.
After you fucking give him $8,000.
Well, to be honest, I mean,
it was that or the bank were probably going to take
so
it.
Hope
he doesn't see this.
I mean, we weren't. Yeah. I mean, he would agree now in hindsight that we weren't doing anything that anyone else would have done. So the equipment was still very old at the time, and this is bloody 13 years ago. So like, it wasn't worth anything unless someone's going to buy it and sell it individually. You know, you can value it at 500 quid a piece or whatever that is. Yeah, and you can sit and go on eBay and say, oh, I looked at this piece of equipment and on eBay, it's worth 750. The reality is the reason it's still on eBay and it's been on eBay for the last 4 weeks is because it's not worth, it's overvalued. It's still up.
Correct.
If it was worth that, it would have gone.
Oh, actually.
So, and then you're buying it job lot. You're offering the landlords an opportunity to keep his building and the gym going. If he had to sell each piece individually and sit there for 6 months with them all on eBay, that was where the money was made, and that's where the risk comes in. So we had to take the risk on upfronting for the equipment, offering him the lease. So we, although we were new to business and we were inexperienced in every single respect, we had still sat there and gone, look, we could offer you fair value for this equipment. But then all the risk is now on us.
Correct.
We're taking you out of the firing line where the building is going to be repoed. Your equipment will be auctioned off. And by the way, second-hand old equipment, which cannot be seen.
They'd probably charge him.
They'd have to charge him for the repossession of the equipment. It would all be dismantled. Someone would buy it for pennies. So basically, we end up in a situation where we knew that. And although it sounds like we were taking advantage, just remember, we were offering what we could afford and what would be worth the risk for us. So he could easily say no. He obviously thought at the time that was his best option, and it was because we ended up.
I think that was like all the money we had.
Yeah, I think that's why it ended up being there.
Yeah, it was like, well, I think we had a bit more than that, but you go, it's that or nothing. There was no wiggle room. I was going to go to the bank and go, hi, I've got like nothing to my name. I don't even have a house. I live with my dad. Can I borrow like 500 quid? The bank would have gone, I'm not even giving you an overdraft. So he was laughing. He had a handful of money. He had someone to rent his building. So at the end of the day, he was better off. And I don't know, from that point we were like, we'll just run this for a bit. Just run it. Just sit up there, sit behind the desk. Everyone knew us up there anyway.
So tell me, what did you change? Now I'm wearing my operator shoes now. So you go into a gym, which is, you don't have enough members. You're not making money. It's not even washing its own face. So you're losing money. You now put in some money for this. You out of all your cash. I'm trying to put all the situation in context here. So you're out of cash. You absolutely have invested whatever money you had. You don't have any income per se. So, and you don't have money sitting in the bank. So now, what did you change so that? And this is from day one, by the way. I mean, from day one you need to start fucking paying whatever members need to be serviced. All that. So what did you change?
Operationally, technically, physically, not a lot. We're very inexperienced.
Well, no, I think
and we liked the gym. We liked the gym. That's why we were training there.
You liked the gym because fucking nobody else was there? It was like your private
No,
gym?
but if you knew where we lived at the time, there was 2 types of gym there. There was a few leisure centres that had absolutely nothing. I mean, like leisure centres, you know, when you go to 25 kilo dumbbells, it's like, well, nobody can know, even your average grown bloke can do that on chest press. So there was that, or there was one gym that was a bodybuilding gym. And when I say spit and sawdust, that's me being kind. It was like just very, very old school, dusty. I don't think they'd ever heard of a vacuum cleaner.
Can I interject? Because Jay says operationally we didn't change anything, but I think that's not a fair statement, because we say for example our landlord, what became our landlord, the gym owner, the previous gym owner, he was a property developer by his original trade. He had acquired the gym because he had bought the property with the business in, and then he bought the business off the lady who owned it before. This is an important story. It was a ladies only gym when he bought it, and because he is a quote unquote businessman, but he's not a true businessman.
And a landlord.
He is, so he is not, he would have at the time consider himself a businessman. Business people try to maximize the profits from their assets.
Correct.
Unfortunately, he's not really a businessman, and if he ever listens to this, I respect this. He is someone who strives to make more money. Kind of 2 different things, can be sometimes the same. He was looking at it as, I've got this gym here that I've bought off this lady that was marginally profitable at the time, but for someone just to sit, she used to run it, and she would sit there and she made okay money. I think she was moving away, couldn't take the gym with her. He sat there and thought, if I make it a mixed gym, well, one, I get it, ladies only gyms, they're not really a thing anymore, but I will make twice the money because I'll have females and males. He had not considered, because he's not a gym goer, and he wasn't even considering his market, which is, if you make it a mixed gym, no men will join because they will consider it as the branding that has been for the previous 10 years, women's only. And all the women that were there because it was the only women's only gym in town. Otherwise, they would have been at a bigger.
And which town is this?
In Malvern. So that's where we grew up. And so he has just looked at numbers and gone, if I double the potential market, I will double my income. Well, that screwed his. It halved it probably. So he already had purchased this gym. I mean, he had it for quite some time still. But
how long did he have it for?
I want to say, did he have it 2-3 years maybe?
Is it?
No, that's how long he'd ran it. But the gym.
The gym had been there for years prior.
So the gym had been there for 3 years.
No, the gym as a women's only, I think had been there 10 years prior. But I think he had bought the property 2-3 years before we had it. And he kept it as a women's only. Because there was a female member of staff there when he first purchased it, who was still working there. And then over time, he was like, I'm going to switch it to a mixed gym so I can get double the amount of members.
Well, and so that he could work there because he didn't have to pay staff there.
Yes.
And then that's when the issues came in. Because basically nothing really changed with the brand. It was just like one day, it's now a mixed. And there was no marketing, no he kept the name.
It didn't stand for anything that.
No, it didn't mean anything. People didn't understand, and he had some good kit in there, and that's why we went up there, because it was a quiet gym that wasn't a bodybuilding gym that was intimidating, but it also had like up to 50 kilo dumbbells at the time, which was like 15 years ago. So it was it was heavy enough, and it had like squat racks and deadlift platforms. So
why do you think it was not doing well? When it was a woman's only
because
nobody knew.
No, one, because he had changed the brand identity in terms of the operational side of things. It was now a mixed gym, which has always been a female only gym. So all the female members, they know that changed. That changed now all of a sudden. There are men coming in their gym. There's now male changing rooms. So they all know. So remember, he didn't need to market to his current customers that it was a change. So he's just pissed them off.
Yeah.
They're paying for this exclusive women's only gym. Now all of a sudden it's not that anymore. They're going to leave.
So they would have obviously got
then
people dropped off.
Where are you going to get your new members? Because if you don't advertise and market, or you don't change something drastically so that you have a new, a new niche, a new. Why are all these new members that you're looking for? Why are they coming? He didn't change anything. He just now made it open to more people. That's not the right move. No. He hasn't considered his market, his customer. What we did is obviously we've been training there. So for us, when we took it on, the first thing we did was we had to fix that problem with any perhaps existing women that were already there, which is make sure that they felt welcomed, and they realised that actually having us there, even though we're male and there are other male members in there, that now you have access to better advice, better service, because we had spent all our money on.
So how did you educate them on this? This is very difficult to do, you know, because
Yeah, well obviously that's the hardest thing. So all you can do is, sometimes it's like really hard because you don't want to hard sell people. But say for example, everyone that will come into that gym, it would either be me or Jay, because we didn't have staff, we didn't have the money for staff. So every single person was almost treated, and this is where we talk about owning your own first gym.
Correct.
And having, you know, systems in place to open another gym. What we did on our first gym is not always possible on like a business scale, which was every waking moment, every single person that came into that gym, we were in a position where we understood the potential of the income, the potential of why we were doing it, which was actually just to almost take the challenge. We didn't have the most expensive equipment, the biggest gym. We didn't have the nicest changing facilities. If anything, in the local town, we were not the top in any one of those classes. So there's only one class we have left, and that's us. And that is our skill, our knowledge, experience in training. We were young as well, so be aware that we had spent years while we were studying to be engineers, also studying, you know, training, fitness, nutrition.
Yeah.
Recreationally, because we enjoy it, because that's the type of people we are.
Yeah.
So we had this knowledge, but how? As a 22, we just turned 23. Just
looked about 15.
We looked younger than, we look older now, but yeah, we looked so young. And you're trying to basically tell these people who are older than you that you've just bought this business.
That's fucking tough.
Right? It's honestly impossible. So
you wouldn't believe how many people didn't believe we owned the place.
When anyone who meets us now, they're like, "You talk for England." Okay, this isn't learned. It's like we have unleashed the I have this voice inside my head, and it's always been there. But when we were at university, you would not believe how shy we were. Now, I wouldn't talk to people. I think. Engineer's mindset, think, problem solve. But almost there's a level of anxiety of saying something wrong, and it's the fear of failure. Yeah. And we go back to the fear of failure. So if you're always scared of failing, sometimes you won't even say the wrong answer. I say the wrong stuff all the time now. But back then, I didn't want to look stupid because I wanted to be smart. I wanted to be the engineer. I actually had low expectations of myself, high aspirations, and I think that's a good thing. But there was fear with failure, and that fucking screws you up. It fucks you up.
Yeah.
So if you now think, so what we learn when we open up business is that every single person that comes through that door, they cannot think that we're in good shape. Being in good shape, being 22, 23 years of age is a negative. I am telling you, or back then, it's like you're perceived as maybe a young, egotistical, big-headed arsehole because that's the perception. Judge a book by itself. So now people are coming into a gym. They are older than you. Somehow you've bought this gym. They don't understand the logistics that the landlord was going to close the gym and it was, it was failing. And we've actually saved this gym that they like training at.
Yeah, you've just done a favor.
But it just looks like we are maybe our dad's given us the money, or like we are in good shape. You know, we also got sponsored at the time as well. So, sponsored athletes, which, by the way, we didn't make any money from. We did it as a passion. But ultimately, you imagine the perception that people will have.
There's decade written all over.
Yeah.
We're talking about in the middle of the whole Geordie Shore era, where like all the TV programs on like MTV are like young, jacked guys going around sleeping with loads of women and just acting like assholes and getting pissed.
And so,
that's the era we our first start of our fitness career and gym career was in. So you're very, very judged now. It's very common now for guys to just be in very good shape and be intelligent and have a good business mindset. Didn't exist. So pretty much every single person that came in that gym, we just gave unlimited amount of time to whatever they needed to.
And how many members did you have at that point of time?
When we took it on, 60.
60 members.
60.
60. Yeah. We actually thought it had 200.
Did you think before taking over the gym?
No.
60 people.
So when we bought it, we actually thought it had nearly 200.
Remember, we like a challenge, okay?
Yeah.
We've done the numbers. We knew where we're at. Remember, live like no one else will, so one day you can live like no one else can. We knew we can live off nothing.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
We were quite...
we had
But did you not feel the risk of, because you didn't have the money, did you not feel that if I don't make money in the first couple of months, how am I going to pay the rent or whatever? I mean, you had wages to pay or whatever to do. So what was your strategy to get the 60 to a number which was a respectable number which would give you, so at what membership number was the gym going to wash its face?
Not a lot, to be fair. Weirdly,
Really?
like our rent was very cheap. It was in like an old church. In fact, the young kids used to call it going to church. They were
Is
like,
it?
"I'm going to church."
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like this little saying where we were.
And what was the gym called when you took over?
It was,
Body Spirit. When we took it over, that's what. Whether it was the original name that he had,
That was Body Spirit. And then
yeah.
you renamed it to
Revolution Fitness.
Revolution Fitness.
Yeah.
And you've got now 2 of these.
Yes.
just to
Yeah.
for
And-
now.
Sorry?
For now.
for now.
Yeah, we've had many opportunities to open other sites. We always get offered them, and up until the last 12 months, we actually just rejected them because we both have young kids, and we just show. And this is where I tend to say success rather than money, because for us, being good dads was a massive thing to us. I spend all my time with my boy when I have him. I'm not with his mum, but I have a very good relationship with her. So we split him 50-50, right down the middle. But I see him every single day. And that to me is the biggest success. Because at the end of the day, when I'm dead and buried, he's what's left. My money will go. And my gyms might not be there forever, but my kid will always be there, and so will his kids. So, and Keek's the same. So we took a very big gap, and it was not a gap. We've still been pushing business really hard, but to try and go, oh, should we just do like another 5 gyms? We could have done it financially. We could have done it. We just, I don't know. We're in a position now where we want to move forwards again.
Yeah, but there's levels as well. I think like sometimes it's like of challenge. So like you probably know with gyms, it's like we would do another gym if it was more challenging and maybe better, or whatever that might be. But just to rinse and repeat. That's great for a business model, by the way.
I have a very interesting thing. I mean, this is just off the cuff. I'm thinking. You see, do you think you guys have nailed a model where you can pick up gyms which are fucking not doing well and then turn them around? And there are a lot of gyms going now at the moment where the owner thinks that he wants to open a gym. It's only when you open a gym you realize that what the fuck did I do? You know, it's not an easy business. You and I both know you're spending a lot of time there. Unless you got the systems and processes in place and a large enterprise, it's very difficult to run the operations. Do you think there's a model here where you can say, okay, we're going to take over, say, 10 gyms which are, somebody will say, boss, take it from me, take it off me for £1 and fucking run the bastard and get me out of the shit.
Oh, 100%. I'd rather do that than start from new.
Yeah, so do you think that's a good model?
Yeah, because infrastructure is already there. It depends. If you take on something that's really bad,
But it is bad, otherwise he's not going to give it to you.
No, I mean like really bad. What I mean by really bad, I don't mean financially really bad. I know loads and loads of gyms that financially just make ends meet, but they've got horrendous reputation locally. There's a gym by us that shut down, and it's been 3 gyms since, and everybody calls it by its old name. Like, and they know it's not its old name. It's a bit like when all Fitness Firsts shut down, a new gym will take it on, and people will go, "Oh, you mean the old Fitness First?" They don't even call it by its new name. You have to be. You run a risk sometimes, unless you go in and absolutely slam it. People will just call you by the old name.
Correct.
People do it all the time. There's a roundabout in the entrance to Malvern, and it used to be a countrywide shop, right? And it's not relevant to gyms. There's a horse shop. It's been there since we were kids, and everybody in Malvern says, "Oh, the old countrywide roundabout." It doesn't mean countrywide for years. It's like a garage, but everyone calls it countrywide.
Yeah.
And do you remember Quick Save?
Yeah.
There's a Quick Save. It's now a B&Q. Everyone's got. You remember the old Quick Save? Like nobody calls it B&Q. I mean, B&Q are fine. They don't need the reputation. But and that's the one thing you've got to be careful of. If I think that's more relevant in smaller cities. Nobody's going to do that in a big city. People don't really care what's going on. But yeah, no, why not? Like you go in and you're going to have to refurbish everything. But I think about when we took on our Worcester site and we had to build changing rooms from scratch. We had to put all of that infrastructure in, even silly things like all of the lighting had to come out, all the cabling had to come out, all fresh stuff has to go. You take something on that's been done to an okay standard at the start, you can reduce that opening cost by so much. Even if you've got to take all that kit out and all the flooring out and replace it and change the lighting, the infrastructure is still there. And also you do have, you are known as a gym.
That location is known for it being a gym. Yeah, that's simple as that.
To carry on from earlier, when you said about what changes did we make when we opened the first gym, we had to make sure that the perception of what we offered, one, there was, like I said, that what we are as people, because the perception is what people judge a book by its cover as much as, you know, they say they don't, they do. That's a fact. You know, we all know that. But in terms of the perception of the business in the gym, we needed everyone to know that, one, yes, you know, they say no publicity is bad publicity. So people talking about, oh, these two young lads have bought a gym uptown, people are inquisitive. So all we need to make sure is when they come up and see what changes we made, we didn't have the money to make changes like drastically. We need to make sure that we as people were better than everyone else. The advice, the welcoming, you know, us being welcoming and everything. The one thing that that changed me drastically, of all my life being almost like, didn't really, as weird as it sounds, right? You know, talk a lot, is I had a personal trainer came up to our gym from another gym to come and train, and he signed up because it was outside of his work. And for the first few weeks, I was intimidated to talk to him. It was our gym, you know, I was in good shape. But remember, this guy had worked in the local area in a gym for a long time. That wasn't us. So I was fearful of being judged. And he actually said to me, after the first, say 6 to 8 weeks of knowing him, he actually said, you know what? He said, you are a really lovely guy, very helpful, unbelievable. When I first met you, though, I just assumed you were arrogant. And the first couple of times you didn't speak to me, which I didn't because I was intimidated. I thought, I don't need to try and teach this guy how to train. I don't need to teach this guy about our gym. He's an expert. So he didn't, because that's patronizing. He said, I assumed you were arrogant and ignorant. And I almost didn't stay. That literally flipped me to the point where there is no point where you can assume that at the end of the day, you give everyone your all, you give everything you can, and make sure that people understand that you are there. And that is, honestly, that's what changed the business. So the second we took on that, everyone that came through that door, everyone was valued, everyone was important, and we made sure. So I spent day and night educating myself across every field, fitness, nutrition, you know, even recovery, you know, even health, aging, because we had the demographic where we are is quite a lot of older people. It's actually now fitness is a new fashionable thing. So
which city was this? This is
in Malvern. In Malvern.
Malvern.
So Malvern's quite a you know, it's a busy town, but it's quite
negative bowel curve on age.
Negative bowel curve.
You've got a lot of kids there. Everybody then reaches college age, moves to a city, goes off, gets a job.
What's the closest city to you?
Worcester, which is where our second gym is. And then they tend to come back to Malvern to retire. So our demographic there is not suited for people of our age to open a gym. I mean, yet somehow we've made it. But I think, as Keeg was saying, him especially is... I'm going to say this, he's my brother, but there's not many people in this country that are as well educated in, I don't want to say fitness, I'd actually say more like biology and nutrition. And I can think of countless nights that he's still been at the gym until 11 o'clock at night, just talking to that one member for 3 hours about why they've got diabetes or how they can change their diet. And none of these people are going, how do I get a six-pack for my holiday? I mean, those people do exist and they are there, but weirdly, those people are in your gym. No matter what information you give them, they're there to train, they're there to get a six-pack. They want a quick answer. The people that you need to value the most are the people that don't know what they're doing, the people that are in there and they're out of their comfort zone. And those first couple of years were very intense. Like it really mattered to us that they were educated. I was at a laser tag with my little boy in Birmingham last weekend, and a woman approached me that worked there and said, excuse me, you look like you train. I've got a bad shoulder. Could you help me? I spent an hour talking to her, and because she had diabetes, she had no clue. The NHS wouldn't help her. They said, oh, we can give you medication. The medication made her very poorly. And we've just both sort of grown up with, I think it comes from our mum, and honestly, that is not a replicable business model, because you will not find staff that can do that.
Correct.
But it's what got us on the map in Malvern. Malvern's a small place, people talk. Everybody started just coming to us because it was basically free training advice, free PT. We didn't PT people like one-on-one hours.
I'll tell you how we scaled as well.
Yeah.
How we managed to learn to scale is because when you spend every waking moment in the gym educating people, you have a very good business. It's the same as the local shop that sells, products, but everyone goes there because they know Jim, who runs a local shop. He's lovely and he's really good, but Jim's there 14 hours a day. He loves his life. He has a great little business, but you're not an entrepreneur. It's not the same thing. We had we actually knew that we were always limited there. The property was small. It was on the edge of town, old church. Landlord was always going to be ultimately facing eviction at some point. So just remember, we are doing the best we can at this gym. We are doing the best we can as people, and we also like helping people anyway. And we are still trying to challenge ourselves to build this business, just because we were there and it was the opportunity at the time. The back of our minds, we still could be engineers. We also in that time got picked up sponsored athletes. Okay, so this is like, you know, other stuff that we've done. We've done a lot of things, a lot of business opportunities.
So you did collaborations as well.
So within the first 6 months of opening the gym, just out of pure luck, we had gone.
There's no such thing as pure luck.
Yeah, well, I mean, right time, right place. Obviously, our work ethic and our years of building our physiques and personalities and the ability to talk to people obviously helps. But ultimately, right time, right place. This never happens. Okay, so we go to Bodypower. And it's just me and Jay. Never even been to Bodypower. Everyone was raving about it. We've been into fitness for years. We at university never had the time or the money to go. So this year we're like, we own a gym, we'll go to Bodypower, you know. And we go to Bodypower and we're there. And we are walking along and we get pulled aside by some girls, like models. Promo girls on Cymex Nutrition. And they say, oh, come and have a photo with us. And we just assume they do that with everyone, right? That's their job. Yeah, come have a photo, No, we, as I said, we were shy back then. So like we were into the gym for ourselves. I didn't want to take my top off. So we were like, no, I don't want a photo. They're like, no, come over. We were like, okay, we'll have a photo with you. And then we got there, they were like, take tops off. We're like, no, I'm not taking my top off in public. Like,
unless you're taking it off.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we actually walked off and said we'll come back in a minute when it's quiet. So we left.
This
and
is
we came
back
back
in the
when
day,
it was
by the
quiet.
way, as well, where actually, as weird as it sounds, Bodypower was a little bit less commercial. So there were people walking around with their tops off. Like, not that people don't do that now because they're sponsored and everything else, but it became very commercialized. But this was back before then. So people were just having their tops off. It's a little bit more blasé. You know, people are fucking jacked. And we were still like, no, I'm not doing that. We walked off. Straight up, we walked away. It's like, this is embarrassing. I don't want to take my top off. Not in front of a load of people.
Yeah.
So we came back. It was a little bit quieter. On the way back, I think we were about to leave. And these girls, they grabbed us again. And the one girl, she said to me and Jay, she said, honestly, guys, right, she's like winking, coming out photo, but not in like a seedy way.
Yeah,
but we could tell that there was something weird going on. Me and Jay were like, oh, go on then, like you can tell. And so we went, there was less people there. We took our tops off, had a picture or some pictures with these girls. And the one girl had said, guys, write your emails down. Now that's not like, they're not hitting on you. You don't give your email, you give your mobile number.
Write your emails. Instagram. Or you don't have Instagram.
Exactly. Well, Instagram was the thing back then, but nowhere near, not a thing.
Yeah.
So give us your emails, right? Just give us your emails. Just trust me. We're like, why? They're like, and you think, oh, nah, this is what they do with everyone. They're just going to try and email us to sell us products. But we were like, yeah, that's fine. You do it anyway. They used to give us loads of freebies. Give our emails, okay? We got an email, like, this was a weekend, so I think on the Monday or the Tuesday, can't remember. Got an email from the CEO. Okay, director of the company, or I can't even remember who it was, say, could we contact you? Do you have a mobile number? So then I gave them my mobile number. And basically, we just had this call to say, look, guys, like, obviously you're twins. Obviously, that's the luck part. You can't make yourself a twin. We like what you're about. You seem like real nice guys in unbelievable shape. You're young. We had no social proof, no following.
And both of you been in the same shape. Like, I mean, both of you have been usually in a similar, like you look identical in terms of not the face, but the fucking physique as well.
And there's an irony there as well in the fact that we don't really train together anymore. We never did. We used to back then, so we were very similar back then. We both had multiple injuries over the years, like multiple, not from lifting, from doing stupid things. We're like, we love just like anything. Like, I'm the type of person that would just go, my kid would go, should we go to a trampoline park? Yeah, no worries. Let's go to a trampoline park. I mean, like, you've ruptured my quad. I've got 50% lat tear, shoulder surgery, full shoulder surgery, bicep tear. He's got a bicep tear. Yeah. I've got a 95% hamstring tear. And yet we still look very similar. It's mad because there's things I can't.
So what's different about the both of you? Come on.
Huh?
What's different about the both of you physically?
Well, so actually funny you asked that.
Penis size.
Yeah.
And
you've done that measurement, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We won't say who wins.
We just ask each other's partners.
So yeah, it's funny you ask about, we're very similar now. Yeah. When we were sponsored, we would get in shape. We both get in very similar shape. But actually, like, if you want to consider like off season, we would actually be quite different. Jay traditionally was the bigger bulkier, smoother, whatever you want to describe it. Yeah.
Fat twin.
Yeah. I was always the more athletic, leaner twin. So when we were younger also, it's weird, we're so similar. Like identically so, right?
Oh, I didn't notice.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I would actually use it as a great example of why you see a lot of people that do bulk and cut. I would use it as a very, very good argument that you don't need to do that. I spent, I reckon, 10 years of my career, if you want to call it a career, of most of the time bulking, and then I would cut and I'd stay lean for a few weeks. He would be unbelievably shredded all year round. Anyone that knows us from back in those days, 10 years ago, would just know that he was going to look like he was a few weeks out from stage.
You actually didn't need to do that. You should have been bulk always. You should have been fucking stripped always.
Yeah,
and you could have been like
just turned up
he's
at
the
different
same-
times.
Yeah. So he would
with
be,
one
but
person.
this is the thing. He would be bigger.
Yeah,
like
most
he
of the
would
time.
be bigger. Like even under the fat, because if you spend more time in a surplus, you spend more time with more body weight on you. It's easier to be bigger and stronger. But when it comes to the crunch and you've got to diet down, you've got to diet
do lose
harder for
muscle.
longer, you lose muscle, and that's just the thing. It's a personal preference, right? But that's where we talk about differences. So when we were sponsored, when we weren't like, say, if we had an event to go to and weren't in shape, Jay would spend more time, heavier or whatever. But we also we're so similar, but we have personality traits difference as well. Actually, I think as we age, we're actually so a lot of twins, they're very similar when they're younger and then they go apart. We have always been unbelievably close, and we still are, obviously. But
we're like best mates.
yeah,
like,
but as
more than best mates.
As we've got older, it's so weird because we've become more weirdly independent. We were like joint at the hip when we were younger. We've become more independent. Obviously, we've got kids, families, businesses. My most recent business, my clothing brand, Jay's technically not involved in that. Now, we share everything, right? So we
talk about it together, but I don't get involved physically. So he'll talk to me about it, but I don't. I actually feel like we've sort of gone close, and I actually feel like in our lives with our personalities, we've actually gone like a helix. Nice. So I feel like there's times at which we are personality wise. I mean, you wouldn't think we were different. You'd still think we were the same. Exactly. But we noticed a difference. There were times where I was the slightly more social twin, and he was the more academic twin. There are times where he is the more social one, and I'm the more recluse one. Different people in the gym will also say to us, "Oh, you're the really, really talky one, and you're the one that sits and is really quiet."
So do people actually know your names?
Everyone does now know our names.
He was kind of joking about that earlier. They definitely do, but like it's more of a I think what Jay meant earlier when he was saying about they know us as the twins, is that we almost just come as one. Yeah. So even though they do know our names and we joke about, they just reference us as the twins, so there are very few people that just know one of us. Does that kind of make sense? Where we almost just come exclusively as a pair because we work well together.
So do you have any twin, like, are you also rivals in a way? In some aspects, how's that dynamic?
No, it's weird. We're very competitive.
Okay.
But not rivals. We're actually like, if let's just take it back to early days of training, and if Keeg turned to me and was like, if we were training together and for some reason he was absolutely killing it, he was like, I can bench 160 kilos and I couldn't, I'd be like going to people, my bro can bench 160 kilos. We're one. Like, we're lucky. What he can do that I can't do, I can still brag about. What I can do that he can't do, he can still brag about. And we're very happy for each other. If he turned to me tomorrow and went, I won the lottery, I'm worth 20 million, I'd be like, yes. I wouldn't even expect any of it, but like, that is incredible. Like, we are so for each other. It's unbelievable. There are competitive things, but it works more like if he turned to me, like, he's very athletic. He can do a standing backflip, like do loads of somersaults. I'd be competitive and be like, well, if you can do it, I want to be able to do it. But I wouldn't be like, oh, I want to be better than you. We push each other up. It's not competitive. It's almost like stepping on stones. If Kid can get there, I'm like, I can get there and more. And then he's like, oh, amazing. That means I can do it. It's almost like we use each other as like comparative in a good way. And it's unusual because you don't really get that in any type of...
They call it with twins, I think they call it the power of 8. So it's not, two people isn't double. With twins, they say it's 8-fold.
Wow.
And I think that's go back to the helix that Jay explained. The helix is circumstantial to the task at hand. So when we took on the gyms, I would work mainly at the time the evening shifts, which is when more people come in. It's more important for sort of like member experience. So I became very, very, I spent a lot more time educating myself, helping people and spend a lot of time with the members. Jay spent more time in terms of, so like,
accounts.
We'll go back to when we decided to, and I said earlier that we got to a position where we realized we need to automate certain things because we still were putting our time in because it was our brand and our reputation. But you have other operations you need to run. We had to be there every day. That's when we decided to go 24 hours. So we were actually the first 24-hour gym in West Midlands.
Wow.
Weirdly, there was no Anytime Fitness then. They existed. Sorry. Anytime Fitness, the brand existed, but not in West Midlands.
Got it.
When we told everyone in Malvern, but this Malvern is before we had Worcester. Malvern's a town, right? And our gym is it's a very big gym for our town, but it's not big compared to some of your chain gyms. And when we told people we were going to open 24 hours, people would be like, "Where are you going to sleep?" Honestly, like Malvern was like, people would be like, "Where are you going to sleep at night?" I'd be like, "That's not how it works." They'd be like, "How can you leave a gym with no staff in it?" They'd be like, people were like, they thought it was crazy. And this is where it comes down to, I'd say that one of the biggest personality traits comes down to that era in our life, because up until that moment, we'd spent every minute together, not every minute together, but like we went to university together, we lived together. That was at the point where we started working different shifts. And I
took different responsibilities. So then what happens is our
personality follows.
Yeah, you start becoming. I will let Jay become good at things because I can then spend my time being good at other things, because then we work together and build. If we are similar.
Well, I designed and built our first 24-hour access control system. In fact, there's a funny story with that. I'm still trying to do it now. As in better what we have. So we started off with fingerprint, and none of the big chains that had started going 24-hour then would give up how they did it. You couldn't find anyone or any reason, or without some company that wanted to charge you an insane amount of money that we didn't have. So I actually worked with a few different companies to sort of get this 24-hour fingerprint integration. And that worked quite well for many, many years. And I enjoyed doing that. And the engineering part of me loved that. And then that's been like a work in progress. Then we switched over to a different provider. We then had different fingerprint readers. And then I've been working the past few years on getting facial recognition in. We actually now have facial recognition at both our sites. One of them is a system that I designed, and the other system is one that's run through a third-party company. And that's just because logistically our bigger gym in Worcester, having it run through a third party, if something goes wrong, I can't be at both sites at the same time. And so I've taken that role a lot. If a stairmaster needs stripping down and putting back together, I could pay someone to do it, of course, but I do enjoy that kind of thing. I'm probably going to be the one that goes and does it. Whereas if a member needs to be called and spoken to, Kig's probably going to do that. And it's not that neither of us couldn't do those jobs. We both would be very adequate at doing them. It's just the role that I've taken. And that's probably the biggest thing that's different in our personality.
Have you had very strong disagreements on something, and how did you manage to sort that out? Because when you work very closely, you would definitely have disagreements, right?
Yeah, we've had we have, but they're always short-lived. They don't last long. So like it's because I think even sometimes people have, even if you're identical in every aspect, you have disagreements with yourself. So that will just present itself in like two humans, arguing. But we're very reasonable, logical people. So ultimately, it's always going to be short-lived because we're always going to see the same way, and we're not really,
You think of it like this: you take two people that think identically. We have grown up identically, because then there's no nature versus nurture. We both had the same situations, and we're both very logical. And all we have to do, sometimes we have a disagreement, and all that has to happen is we both sit and put our side out, and one of us is going to cave, and rightfully so, because obviously we have the same bloody brain, we have the same logical capacity. We're both very logical people. We're not stubborn. In fact, I want him to be right. He's my brother, and I think he's the smartest person I know. So I want him to be right. If he says something to me, if I have a thought and I say something, he'll go, "You're wrong." And I'll go, "No, I'm not." And he'll go, "Yeah, you are." And I'll say, "Tell me why." He'll tell me why. And if I think his logic is better than mine, I'm going to go, "Yeah." It happens daily, doesn't it? We're very receptive to that now as we're older. That one of us is going to have an opinion that might actually be slightly. One of us might get a bit salty that we were wrong, but failure or being wrong is a learning curve, and age teaches you that.
So what's next for you guys in terms of? I know you're doing multiple things. You got an athleisure brand. Yeah. And you also into fitness modeling, right? And
were.
Yeah, you were in fitness modeling. You could still be a fucking model, but I'm saying, are you pursuing that still? I mean, do you think you want to continue with that at some point of time? If you had an opportunity, would you do it?
I don't know.
Not to that level.
So I think the only thing we would do, we've talked about it, and whether it's even ever going to be a thing.
Yeah, because you can fitness. I mean, you're fitness models for your own gym in a way.
Yeah, it's more personal brand. But we do a lot. So, you know, we've only touched the surface with the experiences and stuff we've done. Like we had a conversation off, camera earlier about our relationship with our brand sponsor, Simon.
Correct.
And how we had been there through facilitation of their business sale, and a lot of stuff that we've had, a lot of opportunities that we've been involved in. Like Jay is really playing down his involvement in developing like facial recognition system with some very large companies, and that's just the engineer in us. There's no financial gain from that. And then other businesses that we've been involved in, but we also have, so like for example, building a personal brand. I think that stays with you forever. You can use that, and you can
always.
Yeah, you can leverage that.
Yeah,
I'd say,
but we haven't started doing that yet.
So where did you guys make your money?
So
you started from absolute scratch.
Yeah.
Right. From that £8,500 you had saved.
Yeah.
You started your first gym. Where did you make your money?
So we didn't pay ourselves a lot for the first 3 years at the gym. We literally lived like poor people, like very poor people. And we were sponsored, so most of our food.
Define very poor. It's
like
very relative.
£60, I think at one point paying ourselves nothing, and then for about 3 years we were on about £60 a week or something like that.
I mean nothing. Yeah.
Like I mean,
just be aware. I mean, you have to understand that people go, well, you can't have done that. That's impossible.
Oh no, we
One
didn't.
thing we, once again, leveraging what we had a sponsorship which was offering us powdered oats, powdered protein, and protein bars for free.
There's a reason we looked very ripped all the time.
Yeah,
because when you're living off whey and oats for most of it, and we just saved and saved.
Okay,
and
so
saved
here's the caveat there. I remember, I think approximately, Jane, tell me if I'm wrong, when we opened our Worcester gym, right, we had Malvern gym, 3 years we'd been saving. Once again, living off pennies. Fortunately, we had the sponsorship that we could feed ourselves. I was driving a little Polo that was scrap. It smelled like fire.
And what do you drive now?
Which one? A list of all the cars?
Yeah, come on, go for it.
Okay, so I'm going to lose track, but so BMW M4 G82, BMW M3 G80, Mercedes AMG GT, Ferrari 488 Spider, Lamborghini Huracan, Lamborghini Aventador, Defender, a V8 Defender, the L663,
and literally,
I just
5 days
ago bought 2024 Porsche 911 GT3 RS.
And what drugs are you dealing with again?
And it's funny because that's,
I don't know if you got any.
Yeah. Touche. So as I was saying, so we over 3 years we were living, like Jay said, off. I mean, basically nothing. Live, like no one else will. So one day you can live like no one else can. We had saved up, correct me if I'm wrong, Jay, how we saved up?
315,000.
315,000. 350, and people don't understand that. And they'll go, wait, how many members did we have? I'll tell you now, we had anywhere from 750 to 850 members at £30 a month. And because we saved absolutely every penny.
All the hours.
We then, obviously you pay the corp.
And this is the first gym?
First gym, yeah. So just be aware, you pay the corp tax, okay? But unlike everyone else, and our accountant thinks we are mad. So I think
you're mad.
We put every penny stayed in that business, okay? We then...
actually, what we did was I declared us dividends every single year, and then just offset it against our director's loan.
Oh, no, sorry, but just before that, just to go back, before we went to, before we went limited, it was a partnership. When we first opened, we were a partnership, just me and him. So we actually sold our partnership to our limited company and got the entrepreneurs. Going concern. Okay, so we valued the business based on the equipment and the going concern that we'd built up, and then we had all of that money on Entrepreneurs Relief, and then basically we used all of that to invest in Worcester. So people can understand.
But I was declaring dividends for us and just not drawing them, so I was paying the tax on money we never had. So we were paying more tax than we were actually earning, and then we had that as a director's loan. So we just stripped all that money straight out of Malvern, opened Worcester. We had about 315,000 in the bank. That wasn't enough to open a gym, that better than anyone. But we opened it bare bones, and then as we were the first year of owning Worcester, as the first direct debits, we did a massive promotion We signed up 2,000 members. That's for another day. That was very impressive.
Another day is very important. When is another day?
Yeah.
The next day. When are we fucking meeting it? Because this is not going to be a one episode kind of a podcast. Not episodes. A fucking chance. Yeah.
And essentially, we then opened Worcester, and then we lived again for another 3 or 4 years with nothing. And then all of that money we saved, we invested, stocks, shares. We have a very large portfolio of crypto. Yeah. And a lot of people would say that was lucky, but I would argue that with our logical thinking, everything we invested in had high risk. We are very high risk. But there is always merit. We know what we're doing. We lose sometimes, but it's statistical averages, right? I mean, I would do things differently, but not much differently. I buy more Bitcoin early on. Yeah. That's the biggest difference.
Okay. Last question. I know you guys do a lot of work with the underprivileged. What's it that you're doing? And I've heard this from people within the industry who've said that you guys are doing a phenomenal job of that. What made you do that? I mean, you're very young. I would not think people of your profile, would be doing something like this. And when I say of your profile, you guys own a gym, you look the part. Like you said, somebody would look at you and say, he must be arrogant. Or,
Geordie Shore type. I think what it is we're from a background that was very poor. We had nothing. And I always think that if you see things in life, if you see everything in life, is what I'm losing benefiting someone else more? I feel like that is like, imagine you had if someone told you had an infinite money glitch and you had to put in 20 and 40 came out, you'd be like going, well, I'll just keep putting 20 in. So if I value that in time, and if I think if I could give someone my time or money to me, that no amount of money means nothing to anybody. But if I take something that to me is much lower value and won't change my life, like if I took £100 that wouldn't change my life, it wouldn't change my life for many reasons, whether I was rich or not, because I'm just not materialistic. But £100 to some people is literally changing that. It could change their whole year to some people, and kids especially. Driving the cars, we will take the cars to any underprivileged kids for free. We'll drive across the country. We'll do prom runs for people. We took
always for free. Yeah.
Always for free.
Amazing.
We took a guy that was had terminal cancer. He had about a month to live, and he was getting married last minute. He wanted to get married before he died. We drove halfway across the country, picked him and his wedding team up in all our cars. Anything. If someone asks if we feel like their benefit is more than our loss, if I had to give someone 3 hours of my time, you imagine a kid. I mean, as kids, we had nothing. Some of these kids that we go and meet, I'm like, I can imagine if I turn to even just your average kid that's very poor, they've never seen a Lamborghini in their life, and I turn to go, do you want to go out in my Lamborghini for an hour? It's 1 hour of my time. I have 3 hours. Even if I didn't have 3 hours, I'm there like going, that will change that kid's life forever. If I could, I would give 24 hours of my time every single day to change 24 kids' lives every day. Anyone that says they wouldn't do that shouldn't be on this planet. Like, what else are you gonna leave in your wake when you're dead? And everyone will forget you. Everyone will forget you for being a billionaire. No one's going to forget you. Kids are not going to forget what you did for them. Kids especially.
And what if that's the point that changes their life? Because, and it comes back to what I said earlier about, and that was more on education and schooling, but every time me and Jay have this thing when we go to like a car meet, because that's when people know how much money you have or how successful you are. If you're just a normal person walking around in gym clothes, no one really knows. But you go to these events and obviously you see a lot of younger people, kids. What do you do? What do you do? Do you know half the time me and Jay don't even tell them what we do? Because what if I tell them that I opened some gyms or I invested in Bitcoin and then they think that's their only option? Maybe that will never work for them, or that's almost bad advice. Do you know what I always tell them? I worked hard at everything I ever done. I will never give up, and I think you should do the same. And even if they say, did you go to university? I say, yes, but I don't do my degree. I'm going to be admitting there. Could have. But when I turned up, hardest work in the room. Because if you try, and I think if you say that moment, that person gets to sit in your car and experience that joy that you get. The joy for me and Jay actually isn't driving the cars. It's sitting, like we said earlier, we let our mates drive them. Because when you see them inspired, that is sometimes that defining point in their lives where they go, anything's possible. How did you do it? Just keep trying. just keep trying. But also we have a level of empathy that I think maybe was instilled with us when we were younger. Our mum's very, very empathetic. And I think that even before we had money, that isn't a monetary exchange. That is us as people. They say we open the gym, just give everyone your time. Stay late, do whatever, you know, you just feel other people's emotions. And so like you look sometimes at things and you think, if I was in that person's shoes, I would feel so overwhelmed if someone was to help me. You know, to look at someone like me and Jay, who perhaps look like we don't have time for people, look like we've got too much money, or look all these things, and you can undo people's perception. I think that's just it's massive. It's why we do it. 100%.
Good karma.
Yeah, 100%. Karma. I believe in karma massively.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Jay.
Thank you.
Kek.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time today.
Yeah.
And we're going to do another one.
Yeah, definitely.
So
And then another 5.
deal.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks.
Amazing.
Thank you.